You used me.
I told you once, Superman. If you would not be my knight, you would be my pawn.
I see you're a man of your word.
I am many things, Kal-El. You couldn't begin to imagine half of them. But for now, I shall take the role of executioner.
Hey everybody, welcome back. David from Atomic Candy, and right now we are open by chance, and what we are opening up with for you here today is Darkseid. Darkseid from the Mezco 1/12 Collective. Been really looking forward to getting this figure, and hopefully it arrived in one piece, because this came in a very oversized box with no padding whatsoever, and the box was demolished. And you can even see that the tin here, because this is a metal tin, it is not a cardboard box, has popped open, and the plastic bag even has popped open. The tape is torn and has split open on the top. So hopefully everything is okay inside there. I'm a little bit worried. Fortunately, it did not open all the way, because as you can see, there is a second plastic sheet over the tin itself to keep the contents from falling out if the lid opens up, which I'm grateful for that because of what happened. Let's go ahead and slide that off. And yeah, it won't stay closed. You can see a dent right there. Very likely came from shipping. Gonna have to talk about that. That upsets me that they didn't take very much care in the packaging. The tin looks alright. Not usually a big fan of the tins, because there's a lot of wasted real estate inside of these containers. They have this great big tin, and then on the inside of it there's just one figure and a couple of accessories, and it's like you're not using all the space. But this is a much larger figure, so that may not be the case here. Darkseid, of course, from the DC universe. The monarch of the planet Apocalypse. Here's the sheet that comes in every one of these now, a little bit of a warning about how you need to be careful. It's not really a toy, even though it says pose, play, and display. It's not really meant to be played with. It's an adult collectible. An instruction sheet, which you don't often get with these. And I guess his head is changed out with face plates rather than replacing the head altogether. Nothing on the other side there. Foam over the top, and more foam. Got some hands, I guess a mother box, eyes, two other heads here, and a cutout of Apocalypse's body, or rather Darkseid's body. And there he is. And I guess, yeah, this comes out, and then underneath we have the stand, the cape, a clamp, and a set of batteries. So let's go ahead and get everything out of there and stand him up and see how he looks. Okay, here we are back again. We got Darkseid out of the package. Another Jack Kirby creation, by the way. Jack Kirby, who is rumored to have based the likeness of his face on the actor Jack Palance. For those of you who remember Jack Palance, I'll put the name there so you can look him up. That guy must have starred in a million movies back in the day. And you see I've already gone ahead and put the batteries in his head to light the eyes up. I like that effect. And overall, yeah, very Kirby-esque. The entire design of Darkseid here is really a homage to Jack Kirby and his creations. Darkseid, whose real name is Uxas Khan. That's U-X-A-S, Uxas Khan. From before he became Darkseid, when he was the Prince of Apocalypse. and murdered his brother, Drax. And just for scale here, really quickly, I'm going to stand him up next to Batman, or behind Batman, because these are 1/12 scale, and you can see how much bigger Darkseid is to the average 1/12 scale figure for Mezco. Very imposing looking, isn't he? Let's move Batman out of the way. One thing I noticed also is the weight of this figure. This figure has die-cast components, and he is very heavy, and I spotted that right away when I took him out of the package. And I did weigh it out of curiosity, and Darkseid by himself, without any accessories, is 1 pound and 2 ounces in weight. Quite heavy. I was surprised, actually. Look at him all the way around here. And he is mixed media. This is not like drawn or painted on. This is like a pleather type of material. And then they have a thick die-cast metal belt that is clamped around his waist. I do like the overall look of this figure so far. And we'll be testing the articulation here in a minute. Darkseid, whose first appearance was in Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, of all things. Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen number 134, I think, back in 1970. 1970. Very imposing. Let's take a look at some of the accessories. Right here is the screw from the battery pack. I had left it out. I left it out so that I can work with it a little more later. Not too much trouble getting the screw out. A couple of grasping hands. Very thick hands. Very chunky. Good detail though. I like these. I like the way they look. And one clutching hand for holding equipment, most likely for holding this. His remote device or mother box, most likely, which is plastic, and these are rubberized. The hands are rubberized, but they're still very thick. They're not that pliable. It's a little packet that the batteries came in, right here. His cape, which is very thick. The material of the cape is very thick. And then the shoulder piece is die cast. It is not plastic. And it's quite heavy, actually. I might weigh that just to see how heavy that is. The arm for posing, which is useless. And I ran into this problem with the Hulk when I did the review for the Gladiator Hulk from Thor Ragnarok 1/12 Collective. The stand cannot support the weight of the figure, and as a matter of fact, the clamp cannot fit around his waist. See, you'd have to have it open all the way to even get around his waist. There's no way this can hold him. The stand is completely useless for trying to pose Darkseid. An Omega Beam Eyes face plate, same face as the one that is currently on the figure, only they gave him Omega Beams, which look to me to be very fragile, so please do be careful. Please do be careful handling these. And I will test this out in a little bit. A wounded face. And if you hear booms in the background, that's because it is raining very hard where I am right now. And a sort of a smiling face. Smiling face. Magnetized, as you can see. So let's go ahead and pick him up and test out his posability, his flexibility. Arms are very fluid. Single joint in the elbow. It doesn't bend very far, so you can't do too much with his arm. But the shoulders are very flexible. Wrist flexibility seems very limited also. It's a big ball joint, but oh, there we go. Now it's starting to move. Let me try the other one again. Maybe the positioning is just bad. There it is. It was just a little stiff. So wrist flexibility isn't bad at all. Shoulders aren't bad. Elbows, limited. No torso. Oh, wait a minute. Look at this. Side to side, not bad. Forward and backward at the waist pivot, but there's no chest joint. Head is very fluid. Full rotation all the way around. Now I'm going to show you something inside the faceplate here. It comes out at the top and it snaps under the chin, so it locks in. Because I've seen these figures before where the faceplate comes off and it just kind of sits in the front and it won't hold. It doesn't hold. Oh, the magnet came off. I told you I didn't put the screw back in here yet. But the magnet's on the outside of the little battery door instead of next to it, which is a problem I ran into reviewing the Neotech or Neon Tech Iron Man from Hot Toys. The magnets are like right close to where the batteries go in, so the batteries fly out and stick to the magnets all the time, and that's kind of a pain in the butt. Let's take a look at a couple of these other faces. Darkseid wounded, and you can see that it shines through above his head. Let's cut some of the light and get a better look at that. Better look at that effect. There you go. See how that glows through? Like Superman just blasted him in the face. Nice. And let's try the Omega beams. It does not light all the way through, only to about the ends here. But that'll work. That's not bad at all. I like the cracked up face better, because there's just so much showing through there. What do you think? I think we need to finish looking at the articulation. Turn the light back on. Hips aren't bad. It's a big ball joint under there. It actually looks kind of funny when you lift up his tunic, because he's got that ball joint right there. Belt does not come off, and it is die-cast metal. Knees, that's not bad for the knee at all. Single jointing, but you get a good bend out of it. Turns at the ankle, not at the calf. Forward, back, and side pivot. Minimal, but it's enough. There's not too much you can do with this figure anyway. Overall, pretty solid. Pretty solid looking figure. So let's go ahead and get him into a pose and see how he looks. And here we go with Darkseid in a pose. Well, as much of a pose as you can get him into, because there are some limitations in his articulation being such a thick and heavy figure, although I am impressed with the weight and thickness of the figure and with the overall look of him, especially after the disappointment that came from the Gladiator Hulk, which is about in this size category. A lot of people, a lot of Mezco 112 collectors were kind of disappointed with how that one came out. This one looks really good though, and I did weigh the cape, and the cape weighs in at 4 ounces. The cape is very thick, and that is a die-cast metal plate on the top. It is not plastic. So overall the figure is very heavy, and between the cape and the figure itself, when he's suited up, he's almost 1.5 pounds. It's a very heavy figure. You have to actually handle it, have it in your hands to sense the effect of that. And I suppose it's appropriate that there is a thunderstorm outside. Again, not sure if you can hear that, but thunderstorm goes well with Darkseid. And I chose the wounded head. The Omega Beam's head looks alright, but the light does not shine all the way through it. And the beams don't go very far anyway. But I suppose there's only so far you would be able to get that to go before it was just too heavy. Because they already look delicate and I don't want them broken. So what do you think? What do you think of Darkseid? See, he's got a bunch of challengers who didn't quite make the cut here. WWE wrestlers. What do you think of this Darkseid? I like the figure. I like it overall. Keep in mind, however, that this is, I believe, the most expensive individual figure that Mezco has put out. Mezco 112 Collective Darkseid retailed at $180. So as far as action figures go, I do believe this is the most expensive individual figure that they've released. I like it. I think they did a really good job with Darkseid. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments section down below. Do you have this figure? Is this a figure that you're interested in getting? Are you down with the Mezco 112 Collective? I like these figures. I'm a big fan of the Mezco. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of it. I hope that you did. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you're new. Check out some of our other videos. I do a lot of unboxings of Mezcos, of 1/6 scale figures. Sometimes I do showcases on vintage figures. Discussions about collecting in the toy community, as well as weekly roundups and other things that we do on this channel. So go ahead and take a look. Maybe you'll find something that you like. I hope you do. Find us on Instagram, Open by Chance on Instagram. And we will see you again soon. Thanks for watching.